If love has ever felt like something you needed to protect yourself from, your nervous system may still be wired for survival rather than connection. And we can change that. Let's shift that here today. Hey, beautiful human, it's me, Rebecca Weiner McGregor, and welcome to another episode of Effective Immediately, the show where we talk mindset, healthy emotions, abundance, and leadership, and I give you a mindset shift that you can make effective immediately. Now, on this show, we talk about very sensitive things because people have gone through sensitive things. You've gone through sensitive things. I've gone through sensitive things. And not enough people are giving space to talk about sensitive, difficult things. So as we move through this episode, I want you to be really loving with yourself always. Release any judgment of yourself and just feel what needs to be felt here. If emotion needs to be released, that's okay. And if you are worried that you're not in a space where you can release emotion right now, you can listen another time. Okay? All right. The thing with trauma is that it's not just something that happens once. It happens over and over and over in our nervous system, in our body, and in our mind. Our emotions are expressed through our body. They're thought in our mind, but they are felt through our body. And when the event that hurt us, we shift into survival mode, we don't have space or time to process all of the emotions. We don't have space or time to process all of the feelings. And so feelings get stuck, physical responses get stuck, emotions get stuck, and we actually develop new beliefs about ourselves, about the world, about people, and about the way that we live in the world in these experiences. That's how a regular old event is different from a traumatic event. And you may not even have realized that you've had a traumatic event in your life because you switched into survival mode so quickly, picked yourself up, and moved on. You just dealt with the moment, put it away in a cabinet in the back of your mind, and move forward. And then as we age, as we grow, as we change, we recognize that the cabinet gets full of stuff. And sometimes it gets moved to a closet. And the closet is full of stuff. And you can't hardly keep the doors closed because there's so much stuff there. And how do you know that? Because you're living with tension in your body. You're living with anxiety or depression in your body. You're living with a feeling of grief or anger or hurt in your body. You may not know exactly where it comes from, which is fine because we can always find the source. But you may have a general idea that it's something in the past that isn't resolved and is still bothering you, still hurting you. The best part is that you don't have to live with it anymore. We're going to talk about some of the ways that trauma makes love feel unsafe today. And we're going to talk about the difference between emotional walls and boundaries, healthy boundaries. And actually, I really prefer standards over boundaries. We'll get to that in a moment. And we're going to talk about how hypnosis can help you actually rewire your body, rewire your mind, your nervous system, so that we're not just trying to regulate our nervous system over and over. We're not just trying to handle our emotions or manage or cope with our emotions over and over. We can actually get to the root and heal the things so you can live and feel free. How does that sound? It sounds freaking amazing, right? It is freaking amazing. That's why I've been doing it for 20 years. Okay, let's talk about how past trauma teaches your brain that love is unsafe. Okay, imagine that someone mistreats you. Someone that you really care about mistreats you. Maybe you were very young and you were in a relationship and you were mistreated over and over and over in that relationship. But you thought to yourself, I've got to stay. Where am I going to go? Who else will love me? Or how could I love anybody else this much? If we were married, I would stay, right? Or maybe you're in the marriage with the person and you're thinking, I can't possibly leave. I can't be a failure. I can't leave this. Things will get better. I know they will. On and on and on. We tell ourselves lots of things to get comfortable with our discomfort, don't we? And there's no shame in that game. This is how we survive. Okay? So that relationship ends. Let's say that relationship ends. Maybe that relationship ends when you are in high school, when you were in college, maybe even younger, maybe your early 20s. Maybe it's a recent thing that you got out of. And your body now is very, very protective of you getting into a situation like that again. So here's how love being unsafe will come up. And you might just not even realize that you're pushing it away. The first one it'll look like is sabotage, self-sabotage. That is where you get in a relationship and you feel like one little thing isn't right. So you get out of it quickly, right? Or you don't let yourself fully trust, or you make it impossible for the other person to trust you by your activities, your behavior, the things that you're doing where you're not fully committed to the relationship. Be gentle with yourself. And you may be telling yourself, well, I'm not really in this relationship anyway. I mean, it's fine. It's okay, but I'm not going to stay here. Or you may feel like you're getting away with something because you're having all these other little situations happening on the side. There's a part of you that likely feels that love and full love commitment is unsafe. You might sabotage yourself simply going on dates and being a jerk or lining up a date and not showing up for it. You may be the one who's ghosting. You may make it impossible for the other person not to ghost you. There are lots of ways and sneaky little ways. We've talked about all these sneaky little ways that our body will try to protect us, and it will sabotage relationships. It will sabotage dates. It will sabotage communication. It may make you feel jealous or insecure for no reason. There may be no actual factual reason why you'd feel that way. And you may say, oh, it's my intuition. But you know that intuition doesn't feel the way that you're feeling. The way that you're feeling is likely fear. What's another way? You may just push off love entirely. You may believe that love is unsafe, so you decide, I'm just one of those people who's better off alone. And you may be. But we are built for connection. So having that feeling of, okay, well, I'm certainly not going to get in another relationship because we're still hurt by the last one. We're not really thinking about the future relationship and the potential of what a great relationship could feel like. We're still holding on to the hurt of the past one, or the past ones, or the way someone treated us when we were little, or the way we witnessed our parents communicating or miscommunicating as kids. Thinking that love has to be really chaotic and we don't want it. Love has to be really painful and we don't want it. So we just developed this idea, well, I'm just going to be by myself. I'm just going to be on my own and push away opportunity after opportunity for love, connection. And you may be right. There may be times when love is not the right time for love, right? There's too many things going on. You want to do your inner healing. You want to do your outer healing, whatever needs to happen. It may not be the right time for love. And that's okay. But if you find yourself saying things like, I'm just not built for love. That's just not for me. I'm not attracting anybody. It's not really, I'm just not going to do it. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to deal with someone else's life. I don't want to deal with their kids. I don't want to deal with, what are the things I've heard? I don't want to deal with fitting someone else's life into my life. Yeah, lots of excuses, right? So be very gentle with yourself and very loving with yourself, because these excuses are built on a foundation of nervous system dysregulation and beliefs that you can't have it the way you want it. And maybe the realization right now is hitting you that you have made all these stories about how love has to be based on past experiences, and you haven't even given any thought to how you'd want it to be. And I'll tell you personally, things really shifted for me when I realized that I could have the love that I wanted the way that I wanted it, rather than just trying to go along with someone else, go along with the partner and try to make their lives better and try to make everything easier for them. Without having many opinions myself, trying to be the low maintenance or no maintenance person, trying to make love easy for everybody else. And I realized then it made it exhausting for me because I wasn't speaking my truth. I wasn't asking for what I wanted. I wasn't getting what I wanted, therefore, and I was getting resentful. And what happens when you realize that love can be a different way than it's been in the past for you, and you actually don't have to go for the lowest hanging fruit, you can actually decide what kind of relationship you want to be in, the kind of person that you want to have in your life, the kind of life that you want to live with them, the patterns of growth that you want to have with them, and that there are people out there who will match your desire. You don't have to settle anymore. Whoa, what a big realization, right? So often we're just operating off of our old experiences, our old trauma, our old pain, because that's what's there in the files. And when we heal the root, when we heal the beliefs that were built off of those old relationships, we heal our body's responses and our mind's responses to the experiences in those old relationships or things that happened to you outside of relationships. Then you operate from the present. The coolest freaking thing is being able to operate from the present without this tidal wave of emotion and your mind telling you, no, 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 this is not safe. Sending up red flags where there aren't any. Trying to keep you safe from old experiences, not your present one. When you release all of that, which is what we can do with hypnosis, when you release the pain of the past, the tidal wave of emotion of the past, you get to be in the present. Make decisions from here. Make decisions from what you're feeling in your gut, what your intuition is telling you, what your heart is telling you. You can have a whole different kind of love than you ever have before. You can have a whole different idea of a relationship. Something that is loyal and lasting and loving. All right. I could go into this for like a million years because I manifested Joel. We talk about this all the time. We talk about the beginnings of our relationship. We talk about how we found each other and that we couldn't have found each other a moment sooner because it wouldn't have been the way it's supposed to be. So tune in. I'll talk about that another time. But today I want to really address the difference between emotional walls and healthy boundaries, or even healthier standards. Sometimes in a relationship, because of our trauma, because of the old gunk that we're carrying around, we will have these walls up, right? And I like to think of it like this. When we build a wall to block out the rain, we also block out the sun. When we build our walls so deep and wide and tall that no one can cross them, we believe we're being safe. We believe that we are safe, but what we are actually doing is keeping ourselves from connection. We are keeping ourselves from abundance. We are keeping ourselves from joy. True connection brings those things into our lives. And when we have an emotional wall up, when we decide, okay, one thing from this person, they've got to pass this test and they've got to pass this test. And then maybe I'll open a window in the wall and I'll let them, talk to me a little bit more, or maybe I'll be in a relationship, but I won't ever let them see my true self because it's too scary to be that open. Here's what's happening in your business likely. You're not letting yourself be as open and authentic and visible in your business either. You may have a wildly successful business, but imagine what would happen if you took down the emotional wall that blocked out love, that blocked out the abundance of connection, the abundance of trust, the abundance of truth and love that you have to share with the world. Imagine what that would do in your business. Imagine if you trusted yourself completely to deal with any outcome. You trusted yourself to make really great decisions, and you allowed yourself to mess up. You allowed yourself to fail faster because you took action, and you allowed yourself to be resilient. Imagine what that would do in your relationships and your business, and therefore how that would impact the rest of your life, because everything you do in one area of your life impacts every other area of your life. So thinking about this for a moment, these emotional walls, this is the way that it has to be before I will let myself be seen. And nobody has been able to meet my standards. No one has been able to meet my list. No one has been able to make me feel safe. No one has been able to, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Right? We build these stories. We build these beliefs that we can't have it the way that we want it because of the past. So we build these emotional walls. We don't let ourselves be truly honest about things. We don't let ourselves speak our truth when we need to, whether it is in a relationship with a friend, a lover, a family member, a colleague, a client, whatever the case may be. We notice that we're not speaking our truth. We're not letting anybody else in. We're not letting people see the real us. And now we've built this beautiful wall, right? Because we want to protect ourselves. But that beautiful wall that blocks out the rain also blocks out the sun. Also blocks our receiving. When we set an emotional wall, we stop people from giving to us. And that actually shifts the way that we think about ourselves and our ability to receive. Now, this is based on the past, right? This is based on things that happened in the past, that relationship or relationships that went bad, the pain that you witnessed with your parents' relationship as a child, for example, the pain that you witnessed or felt when someone betrayed you when you were young. All of those things impact the relationships that we're in now. And we can heal it. We can go to the root of those experiences to release the pain, release the physical responses of the body, release the emotional patterns, and create new healthy beliefs that allow you to have healthy standards, healthy boundaries. For me, I'm not really a boundary person. I know that everybody seems to love a good boundary. Like, if they do this, I'm going to hold this boundary, I'm going to hold this boundary, I'm going to hold this boundary. And I prefer a standard where it's just matter of fact. This is the way things are. This is the tone that's set. Everybody knows what the expectation is. So I'm not on defense all the time. This is just the way it is. We'll get more into that in another episode. When you recognize that you are shutting people out because you're stopping them, you're cutting them off emotionally, physically, hanging up on them, blocking them, giving them the silent treatment. Ooh, was the silent treatment weaponized for you at some point? Yes, for me too. I had to learn how to not shut people out completely. I had to keep myself hidden away because love would hurt too much. And I had to take my resentments and I had to take my anger and I had to be silent. That's what I thought needed to happen for me to be in a safe relationship. That I would shut down, and that's the way it was. And that was protecting me, and that was okay. That was old trauma. Being in a healthy relationship means that when something happens, when you want to shut down, when you want to run away, you actually talk about it. And you talk about it with respect. You talk about it with compassion. And you also really make agreements with your partner that that's going to be the way it is. We'll talk about agreements with our partner another time. Okay. So if you've noticed that you're like one strike and they're out kind of person, you shut down emotionally, you shut down, and you get to be really silent, or you just straight run away, there's another way. We can undo those old patterns. We can get you out of survival mode. We can get you back into a place where you are thriving, where you get to be in the present and make decisions from here, rather than making decisions from that tidal wave of emotion and belief that's still hanging on because of the old pain. Your life is meant to be easier than this, and I will show you how to do it. Okay, wherever this is, you can send me a DM to connect for a consultation, or you can go to callwithrebecca.com to schedule right now. Okay, your mindset shift of the week. Are you ready? It is to close your eyes and take a deep breath. So if you're driving, do not close your eyes. Just lower your eyelids, or just think about this, okay? Picture the part of you that built walls to stay safe. Now just imagine those walls softening very gently. They don't have to collapse, just becoming more flexible. And repeat to yourself, it is safe for me to let love in. It is safe for me to let love in. It is safe for me to let love in. All right, have a beautiful week. Take really good care of yourself, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.